largely due to the outstanding pitching they've gotten all year long. Dusty Baker's Reds are still looking for 2 wins in a row for the first time since mid-June. Will it happen tonight? Reds and Braves next. It is a steamy Friday night in downtown Cincinnati, much like it is over the rest of this great country. It's the opening game of a 10-game homestand that begins with the first of 3, the Reds hosting the Atlanta Braves. Take a look at the standings presented by Honda. In the National League East, the Braves have the second-best record in the entire league, but they're second-best inside their division. And the Reds at 2 games under 500, but only 4 behind in the National League's Central. And hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds baseball. Much like when we saw the Atlanta Braves, Chris, going all the way back to the month of May, not much has changed. This is a team that has been pitching and pitching beautifully all year long.
Well, their defense is better this year, Tom, than they have been in the past, and they're a team that will win it with pitching. They've got a great starting rotation, as you see right there. Their overall team earned run average is 4th in the league, but they shorten the ball game. With their bullpen guys, especially the back end of their bullpen, you better get to the starters early on because they can really shut you down. They don't hit all that well. They've got 2 mainstays out of the lineup tonight. No Chipper Jones, no Dan Uggla, and they're a ball club that can hit some home runs, especially in this yard. But
well, the one guy who has hit, though, is a catcher, Brian McCann.
Well, Brian McCann is a guy who has hit, and he's hit in this ballpark against the Reds very well. But when you don't have Dan Uggla in the lineup and you're also missing Chipper Jones, there's no reason tonight, at least for Bronson Arroyo, to go right after Brian McCann because it's just simply not a very good matchup. This guy's a great hitter. He'll hit the breaking ball and the fastball. Those are his numbers overall against the Reds. I mean, he just knocks them dead. And on top of that, at this ballpark, a 371 batting average, 8 home runs. Maybe you should pitch around this guy if you get a chance.
Well, we'll see how it plays out tonight for Arroyo, who's trying to right the ship. And the Reds offensively are going up against one of the best pitchers, if not the best pitcher in the National League so far this year. tonight, the Braves and the Reds. Everybody talking about one thing and one thing only, the weather. What about the rest of the night? Let's check in with our buddy Tim Hedrick.
Oh, it's going to be a hot one down at the ball yard tonight. The Braves in town. First pitch, you're looking at 90 degrees. Halfway home, 88. We bottom out at 86 on your way home. Oh, my goodness. It's going to be a hot one. So hot, you can scramble an egg. Woo, in a batter's helmet. Let me mix that up. Ooh, it's going to be a hot one. Enjoy the game on Fox Sports Ohio. Cooking.
Well, hoping Bronson Arroyo can cook up a good one tonight against this Atlanta team.
Well, he hopes so too, Tom. I'll tell you, he's not pitched all that great his last 3 starts. In fact, he's 0-2 in his last 3 starts. 2 of those against the St. Louis Cardinals. Earned run average north of 8. He's given up a lot of home runs this year. Let's hope he can keep it in the ballpark. Resurgence, different story for him. He's had 17 starts. 14 of those have been quality starts for the Braves. 12-3 overall. You're looking at one of the guys in the National League with pinpoint control. He throws 3 pitches that he can really change speeds on and pinpoint in the strike zone. A very tough pitcher on the mound for the Braves tonight.
All right, so here we go. The first of 3, the Reds and the Braves. Dusty's team kicking off the first of 10 at Great American Ballpark, trying to get back to 500.
For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state. By your local Ford dealer. Ford. Drive one. By the Regional Tourism Network. Book your trip at CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili. Whenever you're feeling good and hungry, it's Skyline time.
Take a look at Freddie Gonzalez's lineup. Martin Prado, Jason Hayward, Brian McCann to start it. Freddie Freeman at first, Eric Kinski in left. Alex Gonzalez, a former Red, at short. A ladder third of Brooks Conrad. Nate McLeod and Resurgence. Bronson Arroyo set to go. Martin Prado leads it off at 275 batter, 9 home runs and 36 driven in. And a first pitch up and in, ball 1, and we are underway.
9 games over 500 in his career, 110 victories against 101 losses for Arroyo. And the first couple of pitches that you've seen Bronson throw tonight, breaking balls, that is usually the key for him. If he's able to control that breaking ball, get it where he wants to in the strike zone, he'll have a good night. If he struggles with it, those are the games in which he gives up some homers.
Another breaking ball, that one the first strike, and he at bat, 2-1 on Prado. Arroyo in his career has made a pile of appearances against the Atlanta Braves, only one this year, and it was not a good one. 3 innings, 9 hits, allowed 5 earned runs in a game the Reds lost in extra innings 7-6. Cozart deep in the hole. Perfect throw to Votto, 1 out. Take a look at the Reds on defense, presented by Ford. Jay Bruce not feeling well, so he's off tonight. Heisey over to right, Lewis into left. Cairo replaces the disabled Scott Rowland at third. We may be seeing a lot of Miguel Cairo, and a battery of Arroyo and Hannigan for those of you that did not hear. A couple of roster moves made by the Reds just before the game tonight. Scott Rowland still being bothered with a strained left shoulder. He's on the 15-day DL. Todd Frazier's been brought back up from the minor leagues. Jose Arredondo has been activated off the DL. He's back in the bullpen. And left-hander Jeremy Horst sent back to Louisville. Here's Jason Hayward. Jam shot pop-up. Coming hard to get it is Hannigan. What a nice play.
Well, you talk about being an athletic catcher. There you can count on maybe one hand in all of Major League Baseball the number of catchers who can get out of the catcher's box and run this ball down enough to be able to get there and make a catch. That is getting the job done for your pitcher.
So 2 up, 2 down, and here's Brian McCann. We showed you the numbers for him in his career, not only against the Reds, not only at Great American Ballpark, but also his career numbers against Bronson Arroyo. Look at this year alone, 6 out of 8 against the Reds with a couple of home runs. And a rocket right at Phillips will end the inning. Mercer. So a good start for Arroyo. Reds coming up. Resurgence, and Dusty Baker stacks him up this way. Heisey in right, Cozart at short, Votto at first, Phillips in a cleanup spot at second, Lewis out in left with Drew Stubbs in the 6-hole in center. With a ladder third to Miguel Cairo, Ryan Hannigan, and Bronson Arroyo. Resurgence, a National League All-Star this year, and you know, we're at night for an early trip to the disabled list. Chris, he may have been the National League starting pitcher.
Oh, you're right about that, Tom. He did have his worst outing of the year his last time out. That was against the Nationals, and his worst outing is 5 innings where he gave up 6 runs. Now, that's not all that bad, but by his standards this year, 12 wins, 3 losses, a career earned run average down around 3.3. This guy is the real deal. He has won every year he has been in the major leagues. Now a cumulative 19 games over 500 in his career.
All right, Heisey to lead it off at 250, 12 home runs and 33 runs batted in. Ed Hickox calling the balls and strikes. Ed Rapuano is the crew chief. He's over at first base. Lance Barksdale at second. Alfonso Marquez, the umpire, at third. 1-2. Atlanta in for this 3-game weekend series in a 4-game set against the Mets beginning on Monday night. Running right into a 3-game set next weekend against the defending world champion Giants. And Heisey retired on strikes to open the first inning. We look at Atlanta defensively, presented by Ford. And as Chris mentioned earlier, a couple of their regular starters not in the lineup. They have Martin Prado. We saw him earlier this year in left. He's at third for Chipper Jones tonight. And no Dan Uggla. He tweaked a calf out in Denver before they got here. So Brooks Conrad gets a start at second base. Ball 1 to Zach Cozart. A very nice start to the young career of Zach Cozart. 11 hits in his first 33 major league at bats. Just getting ready to say, the last time Zach Cozart swung the bat in this ballpark, he clubbed his first major league home run. That was that Sunday afternoon game against the Cardinals to give the Reds a little breathing room. He sent it from a 2-1 game to a 3-1 game and nearly lost that one.
He's got bat speed. That's the one thing that scouts will tell you about Zach Cozart since they've seen him play at Ole Miss. And he doesn't look like, from him standing in the batter's box, that this is really just his first week or two in the major leagues. He looks very comfortable.
High fly ball. His last at bat a homer. His next at bat a homer in this ballpark.
Zach Cozart just did something that is not all that easy to do. That is in a home run off of resurgence. He has only given up now 6 of them on the year in over 115 innings, and he got a high breaking ball up on a 2-1 count. Cozart rode it on out of here.
Zach Cozart safe at home, safe and secure.
New York life.
Outside corner to Joey Votto, and Jurgens quickly ahead of him at 0-2. 318 batter is the reigning National League's most valuable player. 13 home runs and 58 runs batted in.
After falling behind 2 balls and a strike, I thought at first that was a breaking ball. He may have just taken a little bit off that fastball, Jurgens, and that ball probably would have been ball 3 had Cozart not taken it right on out of here into the seats that are still in the sunshine in left field.
Votto gone on strike, second of the game for Jurgens, 2 away in the inning, and Brandon Phillips coming up.
You know, this is not the easiest time of night to hit a Great American Ballpark. The hitter's eye is still reflecting a lot of sunlight, and it didn't look like Joey Votto saw that ball at all. Hitters will tell you that until that shadow that is cast upon by the stadium all over the field finally gets to that batter's eye, that's when the hitters be able to begin to see the pitches, the pitch rotation, the ball coming out of the pitcher's hands a lot better. Until then, advantage pitcher.
on the ground down to Prado, and the inning is over. But no matter where you saw it from, on the field or high above from the blimp, it's a long one for Cozart, and the Reds lead 1-0. Lawyers for serious injuries call 1-800-ELK Ohio, and these numbers would be more reminiscent, Chris, of the Atlanta Braves. Great pitching and very little offense. Unfortunately, offensively speaking, they're the Reds' numbers.
Well, a lot of those numbers are skewed because of the Reds' offensive woes that they had in Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh pitchers just simply have the number of the Reds hitters so far this year. Overall, a team batting average down around 220. That's not going to get it done. You better pitch real well when you're not hitting the way the Reds are. And quite frankly, they have wasted many very fine pitching performances.
Back up through the middle, they really had Freddie Freeman shaded as a dead pull hitter. And he just runs one up the right side into center field for a hit.
Jason Hayward last year, Freddie Freeman this year. It seems like they go into their farm system year after year and pick up pretty good looking hitters, and Freeman is one of those guys that is really hot. 15 home runs, 51 of them batted in. Plenty of power, but he's got also the ability to hit the ball all over the ballpark.
Eric Hinske, the batter, getting the start out in left field tonight, and he rips one into right, and just like that, the Braves had consecutive hits to open the inning with the Reds in front 1-0.
Well, Tom, you mentioned early on that Arroyo has pitched a lot of games against the Braves in his career, and there are a lot of hitters on this ball club that hit him very well, and Eric Hinske's one of them. You get a pitch like that, 86 miles an hour, up and into a big, strong guy like Hinske, you're really lucky to get that same baseball back.
Well, now the batter, Alex Gonzalez, and the Reds appear to be debating whether or not the Braves will ask Gonzalez here in the second inning, batting in the 6th hole, which he rarely ever hits in, about putting down a bunt. Cairo, even with a bag down at third, no sign of a bunt on the first pitch away from him. Ball 1.
We have seen Alex struggle so much from time to time when he was wearing a red uniform. He's struggled now in a Braves uniform. In his last 31 ball games, his batting average is around 135. So he's a guy that can definitely hit a fastball if you get it up and in. But if you throw him down and away, you may be able to roll over a double play right here. I mean, you talk about a superlative fielder, yes, but a hitter that, you know, as I've watched him hit over the years, he swings at the same plane, it seems, every time. And if you get a ball middle in, he can turn on it with anyone. But if you throw him down and away, change speeds, make him reach for something, he'll roll over on it, and you have a nice 5-4-3 twin killing.
Freeman the runner at second. Eric Kinski on at first. Nobody out. And they run a fastball in on Gonzalez. Back-to-back fastballs in. That one missed, and it's 2 balls and a strike. Another very good crowd on hand at Great American Ballpark. Big fireworks show after the game tonight, as we have every Friday night. And there's a 6-4-3 right at you. He hit it hard, but right at Cozart. Freeman on to third, 2 out in the inning.
Now they got a fastball, and he did hit it hard. He hit it right on the button, but that turned out to be right what the Reds needed. And an easy double play. Baseball's not fair, is it? Hit a ball hard like that, you end up in a double play. Hit a ball like Freddie Freeman did to begin the inning off, kind of dribbled it through the infield, and you end up with a base hit.
So now Brooks Conrad, tying run down at third, 2 out in the inning, and there's ball 1 away. Of course, Francisco Cordero and many Reds fans will forever remember the name Brooks Conrad. That unbelievable comeback a year ago the Braves had in Atlanta. And it ended on a Brooks Conrad grand slam that he thought had been caught up over the wall. Remember that? He rounded first. He threw his hands on top of his head as if to say, oh, man, I just missed it. And then his first base coach is screaming at him saying, son, you just won the game. Two and one on Conrad with Freeman down at third and 2 away in the inning. And it misses off the inside edge to go to 3 balls and a strike. Nate McLeod, the number 8 hitter, would be next. Strike 2. That was the final game of that series. It looked like Lance Nix had made the catch. Here you see Conrad thinking, oh, man. And then everybody says you better get going. Game winner. 7-run 9th inning. 3-2 pitch. Struck him out, and that'll end the inning. So after back-to-back hits to start the inning, a ground ball double play and a strikeout keeps intact a 1-0 Reds lead. DirecTV. Log on to FoxSportsOhio.com. You can chat with our Hall of Fame baseball writer Hal McCoy. Plus, he'll share a story about the Hall of Fame third baseman Brooks Robinson. It's at FoxSportsOhio.com, presented by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO and SafeAuto.com. And, of course, our Boys in the Hall feature this week, this Sunday at 4 o'clock, will be on Brooks Robinson. Reds bat in the bottom of the second inning, leading 1-0 on a Zach Cozart first inning home run. Fred Lewis, Drew Stubbs, Miguel Cairo, the front three against Jair Jurgens. Freddie O overall at 260, 2 home runs and 15 runs batted in. We'll keep you up to date early on tonight about what's going on in Pittsburgh. The Cardinals and the Pirates colliding at PNC Park tonight in the first of 3. And later out west, Milwaukee will take on the Giants. 3-2 on Lewis. Milwaukee got shut out yesterday by Arizona, but so far on that big 3-city 10-game road trip to begin the second half, the Brewers were 4-2. So now 4-3. And Chris, they got to feel very good about the way that trip has gone, obviously.
Well, so far, yeah, for the Brewers, they're a ball club, Tom, that a lot of people have watched them have played underperformed for the talent that they have, but it was a costly game yesterday for both teams, the Diamondbacks and the Brewers, as the Diamondbacks lost Stephen Drew for the season with an ankle injury, and Carlos Gomez, the center fielder, out for the Brewers with, I think, a broken collarbone.
Yep.
Or that was a tough fourth inning.
Good at bat there for Lewis, and it's capped off by drawing the leadoff walk. Join the Reds a week from tomorrow, the 30th of July. They'll be taking on the Giants. The first 20,000 fans receive a Scott Rowland mesh jersey, courtesy of Scott's. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit Reds.com. Bruce Stubbs, a batter. We'll keep an eye on Lewis, who has 4 stolen base attempts and has been thrown out all 4 times.
Well, so far, Jurgens really does not look very sharp. He's a guy, Tom, that if you scout him, you realize that not any one of his pitches is all that overpowering. Doesn't have a great strike-him-out curveball, doesn't have an outstanding changeup, but together with his command of all of his pitches, especially his command of his breaking ball and his fastball, he's able to really befuddle a lot of hitters. But what the Reds have done so far has been patient, and I think the Freddie Lewis at bat is a good indication of what their game plan is. He just doesn't seem like the pitcher that wants to give in right now. And if you give in this ballpark, you're likely to see one leave the yard.
That DirecTV blimp is flying directly above the CBTS pilot house. That thing looks sweet, doesn't it? You ever been on one of those?
I never have, no.
2-1 on Drew Stubbs. I remember many years ago we had a Fox Saturday game of the week, and Bob Brenly went up there in one of those, and he said it was so cool because you fly so low to the ground and you get a real good look at everything going on directly beneath you. Runner goes, and it's dribbled foul by Stubbs to even a count at 2-2.
Well, hit and run action right there. Really, the top side of that is that against Jurgens, they've had 6 successful stolen bases on the year and only 1 throw them out. So Dusty Baker hoping maybe take a little pressure off Drew Stubbs right there and a hit and run. Kind of, all right, now, young man, all you've got to do is relax and put the ball in play somewhere. You don't have to worry about driving it. Don't think along with the pitcher. Just make contact.
2-2 on Stubbs. Lewis a good lead over there at first. He's running again. It's taken down low. Throw to second, and Freddie has his first stolen base as a Red.
Boy, what an effort by Brian McCann. I mean, he came up throwing ball on the money. And even with that great throw by the Braves catcher, Freddie Lewis, in there to get his first stolen base. Look where this throw is by McCann. That pitch is down. He's got to reach for it. I mean, all you've got to do is lay your glove out there if you're Brooks Conrad. And there it is. He even looks back.
Look at our Performance Honda Exmo camera there on that safe slide by Freddie Lewis. 3-2 now on Stubbs, who wants timeout.
Even with 2 strikes, I mean, the strategy for Drew Stubbs should be this. Hit the ball the other way, get the ball to the right side so Fred Lewis can get the third and make it awfully easy for Miguel Cairo to punch another run in. Maybe waiting for the temperature to drop. He's got to be the only guy in this ballpark with long sleeves.
Well, he'll be waiting until about a week from Monday. One out of the inning, third strikeout of the game for Resurgence.
Now that's one of the pitches we talked about. He's got a nice curveball and a nice changeup, and that may be a little bit of an off-speed slider right there. But he had Drew Stubbs thinking, maybe Drew Stubbs wasn't thinking small enough in that at bat. You know, when you're down and behind the count like that, you've got a man on second base and nobody out, even though that guy got the second in the middle of part of your at bat, now's the time you change your attitude and your strategy. Spread your feet a little bit, get your hands inside, try to make contact to make sure you stay inside the ball. And an off-speed pitch like that should have been ideal for him to be able to hit a little ground ball to the second baseman and get himself up.
Strike one on Miguel Cairo, who again this year has done a rock-solid job filling in no matter where the Reds want him. Of course, primarily it's been at third base. Had to start at second base, and now the runner's going to get to third with 1 out on the inning, thanks to the wild pitch from Resurgence.
That's a changeup right there that McCann went down to try to block it, got off the heel of his glove. So the Reds get that runner to third after all. Now you're looking for a fly ball. The Braves will bring their defense in to try to cut the run off with a ground ball here.
Cairo waiting, and the 1-1. A fastball off the inside corner. 2 balls and a strike to Miguel Cairo. Reds got a home run from Cozart in the first inning to take the 1-run lead. And now after a leadoff walk, a steal of second, a wild pitch advances Lewis on to third. They're trying to make it a 2-0 game, and look at those numbers for Cairo. Fouled off out of plate, even a count. Machado, Gonzalez, Conrad, Freeman, third, short, second, and first, all drawn in for Atlanta defensively. Cairo trying to plate Lewis from third. One out in the inning, and a 2-2 pitch coming. Squeeze, and it's fouled off. A 2-strike squeeze, and now Cairo did he not bunt at that pitch, or was it 2 balls and a strike? I thought he just fouled off a pitch to go to 2-2. I'm missing something. He's supposed to be out on strikes.
You're
here.
Right about that. I thought I had the count wrong. Well, you don't see that very often.
Well, and I got to tell you, you don't know if that came from a dugout. You don't know if Cairo did on his own. But, I mean, when you've got a runner at third and less than 2 men out and a 2-2 count on the batter.
Well, he didn't do it on his own because Freddie Lewis was booking down the line.
Good point. Thank you.
Now, that may have just been a case of Dusty Baker trying to pick the pocket of the Braves right here and do something unconventional to get a run in for his ball club that has scored very few runs. 3 runs total in their last 3 ball games. All of those, of course, in Pittsburgh. Shut out twice.
Saw Cairo. He knew right away he was out on strike.
Yeah.
And he walked by Dusty Baker. Dusty said something to him, and Cairo turned around and said something back. And then made his way down by the water cooler. That one is one of the most perplexing calls I think I have ever seen in a long, long time. You've got a guy batting .407 on your team with runners in scoring position, and a guy generally who puts the bat on the ball. And you put on a squeeze on a 2-strike pitch. Here's Bronson Arroyo.
Well, you know, on that particular play, if it works, you say, well, fine, you got a run right there. But if it doesn't work, that opens it up to all sorts of scrutiny, second looks, second guesses, to say, why would you do that on a 2-strike count? Dusty just may be trying to kickstart his offense, try to get a little bit of something positive going that they've had very little to celebrate about. The few opportunities for scoring that they did have in the Pittsburgh series, they squandered. Very poor with runners in scoring position.
One and 2 to count on Bronson Arroyo. Runners on the corners, 2 men out. And we'll do it again at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Still 1-2 on Arroyo. Bronson making Jurgens work out there. Fred Lewis stands at third base after the intentional walk. Ryan Hannigan over at first base. And Arroyo trying to get a 2-out hit to knock in a run. He is 6 for 34 as a batter this year with 2 runs batted in. 34th pitch of the inning by Jurgens. And the rest of us can collectively scratch our heads and ponder the decision a minute ago.
smoking down there too. So we'll see. Bronson's a guy that's in great shape. He goes down in the tunnel. He doesn't stay in the dugout in between innings. And, I think he's a smart guy. He knows how to deal with it as much as anybody. So the way I look at it, hopefully the Heat's our friend over the next few days.
Our Geico quote of the night, talking about Bronson Arroyo and everyone on this field fighting off the heat. Jim Day with you. We're down here by the Reds dugout. Got a portable thermometer down here. Got a reading during batting practice. It read 112 degrees. I just took a reading. Now shaded here by the dugout, 102. Now that doesn't take into account to the humidity factor and the overall heat index. So it is smoking down here. And the battery have it the worst. Pitcher's got to work all the time, and that catcher with all that gear on. In fact, I talked to Ryan Hannigan before the game. He said he started hydrating himself yesterday for tonight's game. Back upstairs to the Champion Windows broadcast booth.
All right, Jim Day, thank you very, very much. And, of course, all of us over here have been fighting that weather the entire week. It has been unbelievably hot across the entire country during the last 3, 4, 5 days. On the ground, Novato, and the feed to Arroyo takes care of Nate McLeod. We begin the third inning with the Reds leading 1-0.
Boy, you'd love to have a nice, quick 1, 2, 3 inning for Bronson Arroyo. Run Resurgence right back out there after a long pitch inning. Had over 20 pitches in the last inning.
Now the pitcher Jair Resurgence bats. He has 3 hits and 36 at bats so far this year. To the count on Resurgence, and that's off the end of the bat. A fly ball into short left center. Lewis there, and there are 2 gone in the Atlanta third inning.
Hey, Reds fans, if you're in the restaurant industry, let JTM Food Group help you with great tasting products for your menu, inspired solutions, and better results. JTM.
One and 2 on Prado, who grounded out to Zach Cozart his first time up. To Prado. Naturally, they go away after the knockdown pitch, and that's in a straightaway center. Room for Stubbs at the track. And Arroyo's second perfect inning of the night. Reds with the top of the order coming up, leading by a run. go to foxsportsohio.com and enter the Papa's in Your House contest. You can win a Fox Sports Ohio prize pack, and one grand prize winner will take home a pizza party. The Papa's in Your House contest is presented naturally by Papa John's Pizza. Reds with a 1-0 lead, top of the order, batting here against Jurgens in the third inning. Chris Heisey struck out leading off the Reds first. He'll be followed by Zach Cozart and then Joey Votto. 3 base runners through the front 2. A home run by Cozart, a pair of walks in the second inning. Jurgens has fanned 5 of the first 9 he's faced. And he is not what you would refer to as a strikeout pitcher. Only 71 of them in 115 innings coming into play tonight. He hit with a pitch, and that's the way the bottom of the third inning begins. And Chris, you pointed out right from the get-go you didn't think Jurgens was all that sharp tonight, and he doesn't appear to be.
Well, he was not sharp in his last start. He only pitched an inning and a half, or an inning and a third, in a span of 11 days, including the All-Star game that he pitched. And he came back after his last start, and where he had his worst one of the year, gave up 6 runs in 5 innings. So he's all over the place. For a guy that makes his mark by being able to command his fastball, he's been really all over except where he wants to be.
Well, now Cozart takes outside, ball 1. Brought up earlier that Cozart homered his final at bat, the final game of the last homestand against the Cardinals. And here in his first at bat to open this homestand, another home run, his first 2 in the major leagues.
Well, that last high pitch that Cozart jumped on, he jumped on a low pitch against his former college teammate Lance Lynn of the St. Louis Cardinals. That one was won by Cozart. And here in the first inning tonight, a high off-speed pitch, 87-mile-an-hour, a little cutter by Jair Jurgens, and that is the difference in this ball game right now. 1-0 Reds.
Well, this time it's on the ground, and that'll start a 5-4-3 double play.
Well, that definitely was the changeup right here. He had Cozart swinging big, the ball down in the zone, and that one's tailor-made. You get a guy like Jurgens, who's a very good, experienced major league pitcher. You get him early in the ball game where he doesn't feel like he's got good command and he's struggling a little bit. You see how slow he works between pitches with runners on base. He wants to make sure this start doesn't get away from him, and he's going to battle and be stubborn with his stuff until he finally gets his rhythm. But early on is when you need to strike. You let him off of a possible big inning by, running into an out, or at least bunting into an attempted out there with a suicide squeeze. Having a double play turned on you just like they did right there, and you never know. Jurgens may be able to find the key to get him into a good rhythm, and he may be untouchable the rest of the night. He's had a lot of good ball games so far this year.
Those are those career numbers Chris brought up earlier. I mean, what a way to start a career. That ball in the air to deep left center field. McLouth at the wall, and he got it. End of 3. Reds 1, Atlanta 0.
Proudly serving America's restaurants, schools, retailers, and our military around the world. JTM Food Group. By your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. For a dealer near you, visit buyatoyota.com. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO.
Well, what a great job they're doing on that entire Banks project, which is underway in between, of course, Great American Ballpark on its way over to the football stadium, Paul Brown Stadium. And that park, which will run Sawyer Point eventually all the way down beyond Paul Brown Stadium. And man, is that going to be nice. Reds with a 1-0 lead. Atlanta bats against Bronson Arroyo here in the 4th inning. Hayward popped up halfway up the third base line and foul ground, and Ryan Hannigan made a gorgeous diving play, and that ball is hammered into right, and we are tied at 1. Home run number 11 for Hayward, and the 27th given up now by Bronson Arroyo.
Yeah, Bronson beginning to separate himself from the rest of the pack with the home runs given up this year. Came into the ballpark today with 26 to his credit. Hayward, that was a no-doubter as long as it stayed fair. For a young man that's had a hard time finding his stroke, he hits his 11th home run. He's swinging the bat a lot better the last couple of days.
And now Atlanta leads 2-1. Back-to-back pitches, back-to-back home runs from Hayward and McCann.
I can kind of understand Jason Hayward. He had never gotten a hit off of Bronson Arroyo in the previous 5 at-bats. But Brian McCann has simply owned Bronson Arroyo. And he's already hit 3 home runs off of him. You're going to start him off with a high outside fastball. I mean, McCann's got plenty of plate coverage. That is the 4th home run that he has hit off of Bronson Arroyo now in 18 at-bats.
Well, you talked about separating yourself from the pack in that category. As you see now, 28 of them given up by Arroyo, 4 more than Brett Myers of the Astros, 10 more than the 4th place tie. Brian McCann has certainly separated himself from all other comers. When you talk about the best all-around catcher in Major League Baseball, there is not a sliver of a doubt as to who sits number 1 when you combine the offense and the defense. And there's a 5-pitch walk to Freddie Freeman. Brian McCann is just simply a stud. He has been an all-star every year since he came up from the minor leagues.
I mean, how many teams have their catcher batting in the number 3 spot? McCann could bat 3rd, 4th, 5th if they wanted him to, the way down in the order. Of course, the Braves are missing 2 of their big sluggers tonight, and Chipper Jones, he's on the disabled list, having just had knee surgery. He should begin a rehab on that pretty soon. And they're also missing Dan Uggla, nursing a calf injury.
Well, here's Henske, who singled into right field. 3 straight have reached to begin the Atlanta 4th inning. Back-to-back home runs and then a walk to Freeman. It's ball 1 to Henske. There's a rocket at Votto, and Reds caught a little lightning in a bottle right there. Two out in the inning.
Well, Henske's hit the ball hard twice. This one bad luck for him.
Alex Gonzalez bounced into a double play his only time up. Fly ball, shallow left. Lewis there, inning over, but major damage done on consecutive home runs from Hayward and McCann to put Atlanta in front 2-1. Eric Colson of Georgetown, Kentucky, who drives a 2011 Sienna. Will drive the beautiful new Tundra on display here at Great American Ballpark, and you can register for your chance to win in an upcoming game. Just stop by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. Home runs in the top of this fourth inning from Jason Hayward and Brian McCann give Atlanta a 2-1 lead. So Brandon Phillips, Fred Lewis, Drew Stubbs against Jair Jurgens here in the fourth. Well, the Pirates pitching may have baffled the Reds while they were there over 3 days, but they're not fooling the Cardinals tonight. St. Louis, 4 of them in the very first inning. And that's Chris Carpenter on the mound against Paul Mahalem in the series opener at PNC Park. Center field, a leadoff single for Brandon Phillips. All right, time now for our AT&T trivia question tonight. Going to go back a ways since 1920. Only 3 players have started 150 or more games with at least 4 different teams. We'll give you a while to think about that. Fred Lewis walked, stole second, went to third on a wild pitch in the second inning. Runner goes, pitch taken low, and they've made the decision they're going to run and run and run when they get the chance against Jurgens here tonight.
Well, really a rare opportunity for Brandon Phillips to run. He's tried 10 times this year, has been successful 5 of those, but they've really kind of shut him down here lately as far as the running game. But I think Dusty Baker's trying some desperate acts tonight just to try to get his offense on track.
This a fly ball in a short left field, and that is caught. Nice play by Henske, and a very unproductive out yet again by a Reds batter early on in this game. It was Stubbs back into second and Lewis here in the fourth.
I mean, your attitude really has to be, as a left-handed hitter, I'm going to get something in this at bat that I'm going to be able to hook to right field. Even if it's on the ground to the right side, you give yourself up right there. And when you get jammed on a ball and you flare it into left, that's not trying to pull the ball. It just has to be a different approach rather than execution out there. I mean, that was a 1-0 pitch. I mean, Fred Lewis has had the entire at bat with which to work Jurgens and try to get a pitch on the inner part of the plate that he can swing at, especially facing a guy like Jurgens, who in his career he is 1 for 10 against. So he hasn't gone, great success against him. Drew Stubbs, as it's even been more futile for Stubbs against Jurgen in his career. 0 for 1 tonight, 0 for 11 coming into this ball game, 0 for 12 now for Stubbs versus the Braves starter, with the strikeout that he had in his last at bat. Well, Jurgens had Stubbs in his last at bat. Look where he threw all the pitches, down and away. The 7th pitch put him away with a strikeout right here, a little bit of a cutter or slider down and away, and Stubbs just swung right over it. But that is obviously the weakness as perceived by the scouting department for the Braves as to where they're going to pitch Stubbs. Going right down there again.
One ball and 2 strikes on Drew Stubbs. Phillips out at second base, and another breaking ball, the identical spot Chris pointed out 2 pitches ago. They try there again and miss again. Do they go there a third time and try and get him out, or throw that fastball up in the zone that he swung at a moment ago? Breaking ball, and Stubbs strikes out for the second time in the game, and they're 2 away in the inning.
I think that was just a changeup right there, Tom. He had a little cutter his last time that moves away from a right-hander. I think that may have just been a flat changeup that really should not have been rung up for strike 3. Our Fox track showed that down and away, and if that was the pitch we were looking at.
Now Miguel Cairo. And he pops it up. So a leadoff single and a stolen base, and Phillips never moves. Lead played 4. 2-1 Atlanta. On Fox Sports Ohio. It's presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Jim Day and Jeff Pecora will bring you Reds Live, the pregame version. On Sunday. No, we don't come again until Monday. Of course, tomorrow a Fox Saturday game of the week, and then Sunday will be on at nighttime here. And then back at it Monday with Reds Live when the New York Mets come in for the first of 4 Monday night. Of course, Jim and Pick will have the post-game version coming up after the game tonight. Latter third in the Atlanta batting order. Here in the top of the 5th inning. That ball smoked by Conrad, and again right at Votto. Joey may need to get a new webbing by the time tonight's over. He's had to handle a couple of smashes down his way.
We've seen a few atom balls out there for the Braves tonight. Line drive by Brian McCann in the 1st inning. One by Conrad this inning. Hinsky, the double play line drive right at Votto.
McLeod bounced out to Joey Votto. His only time up leading off the 3rd inning. Atlanta with a 2-1 lead. Reds had a 1-0 lead in the 1st on the home run by Cozart. Votto will wave off Arroyo for out number 2. And of course, Atlanta got the 2 home runs from Hayward and McCann back to back in the 4th. We answer our AT&T trivia question. 3 players since 1920 have started 150 or more games with at least 4 different teams, and one of them is here tonight. 2 of them, I beg your pardon. Edgar Renteria, who did it with 5 teams. 4 for Alex Gonzalez. I thought Orlando Cabrera might be on that list.
He'd be a good guess on that list. And after this year, he may be able to qualify for that.
There's a base hit into center field off the bat of the pitcher, Jurgens. So Prado will bat with 1 on a 2 out here in the 5th. It's only the 4th hit all year long for Jurgens. And by the way, I beg your pardon on the question that we asked a little while ago. It was since 1920, 3 shortstops have started 150 or more games for 4 different teams. Prado is bounced to short and flied out to the warning track in deep left center. That's off the end of the bat, and this will fall in a hit. Well, Chris, that's exactly what you brought up earlier. You've had a couple of rockets hit tonight by some Atlanta Braves, and then you get one like this, it falls in.
Well, you think you're living in good fortune, but the problem is that eventually you're going to have some balls that just fall in. Arroyo on the year has given up a lot of base hits. 114 innings coming into this ball game. He has given up 136 hits. So his stuff has been very hittable and hittable out of the yard. That's the most discouraging thing. Now you're to the meat of the lineup, the guys that can really hit the ball.
And Hayward hits one on the ground at Cozart. The force play will end the inning. Atlanta strands 2. And again, Arroyo, Heisey coming up in a 1-run game. Baseball, the Braves and the Reds from Great American Ballpark. The telecast gets underway on your local Fox affiliate at 4 o'clock Eastern Time tomorrow. Major League Baseball on Fox, presented by AT&T. And our aerial coverage tonight is brought to you by DirecTV. To get the best offer of the year, call 1-800-DIRECT-TV. 2 runs, 6 hits for Atlanta. The Braves have left 3 men on base. 1 run, 2 hits, 3 left for the Reds. Reds have had a couple of scoring chances outside of the Zach Cozart home run back in the first inning. You may remember they had a runner at third with only 1 out. And one of their better contact hitters, one of their better hitters with runners in scoring position in Miguel Cairo. And almost unbelievably, they put a suicide squeeze on with a 2-2 count in the at-bat. Cairo fouled off the bunt attempt. He was ruled out on strikes. They intentionally walked Hannigan to get to Arroyo and naturally got him out to end the inning. And then in the 4th inning, a leadoff single by Phillips, who quickly stole second base. But then Lewis popped to left, Stubbs struck out, and Cairo popped up to retire the side. Hannigan, Arroyo, Heisey against Jurgens here in the bottom of the 5th. Fly ball, shallow right center. And McLeod will wave off Hayward, and Hannigan retired to begin the inning. Now the Reds and the Giants get together next Friday and Saturday and Sunday. And that series presented by LaborWorks. For tickets to that series, call 513-381-REDS or visit Reds.com. Boy, the fans have been pouring into Great American Ballpark for the better part of a month and a half. They've averaged over 35,000 fans per game. Sold out, what, 7 times in the last 10 home games, and big crowd here tonight, just short of a sellout.
And the projections are for the rest of this homestand, big 10-game homestand the Reds are on, that they'll have good crowds each and every one of these ball games. And of course, this is the homestand that Dusty Baker's been looking at for a while, thinking, man, maybe I could just get my ball club on track a little bit, put some wins back to back to back. They've had a whole heck of a hard time doing that. In fact, they have not won back-to-back games in the last 27 games that they've played. That's almost hard to do.
Now, when you started to say back-to-back to back, I said, man, you're getting a little greedy here.
Well, I am, yeah. Maybe I should just shake myself and go back to reality and say, how about back-to-back first?
As our good friend, the late, great Harry Carey used to say all the time, you can't win 3 in a row until you win 2 in a row. Arroyo out on strikes, and that is 7 of them now in the game for Jair Jurgens.
Well, the most that he has struck out in any one ball game this year was the 1-hit complete game shutout that he threw 3 starts ago against the Baltimore Orioles. That was in Atlanta. Braves won that ball game 4-1, 4-0, and it was just a mismatch that night. But he is within 1 of reaching that as far as the strikeout total now.
He has thrown fewer number of pitches the last 3 or last 2 2/3 innings combined, as he threw in the entire 2nd inning alone.
Had an interesting conversation with former Reds catcher and a backup catcher here with the Braves, David Ross, before the ball game about resurgence. I said, tell me about him. He said, you know, the thing that impresses him the most is the fact that we ask him to execute a pitch, and he either does it perfectly or he misses just off the strike zone with it. He rarely makes a mistake in the zone where those balls are hit all over the ballpark. Coming into this ball game, had given up only 5 home runs in 17 starts. I don't care where you pitch, that is stingy.
David Ross has had a nice career for himself, and boy, if you're going to be a backup guy, and obviously he's come to the realization as you get a little older in your career that you're a backup guy and you're thrilled to death to still be playing the game you love so much. I mean, to be the backup guy to Brian McCann or the backup guy to Yadier Molina, that's living right. That's like being Brett Favre's backup.
Staying strong all the time.
Right. 2-2 on Heisey. Tenth year in the major leagues now for David Ross. Good
Great
for him.
guy, too.
Oh,
I mean, one of the best you'll ever meet. Now, he was Bronson Arroyo's personal catcher before Ryan Hannigan took over that spot.
There's a fly ball in the shallow right field. It'll be a perfect inning, the first of the night for resurgence. So we march on to inning number 6 with the Braves in front 2-1.
The Cincinnati Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, follow the Reds with MLB.com at bat 11 for your iPhone, iPad, Android, or BlackBerry. Text at bat to 31826 or visit Reds.com for more details. Papa John's, better ingredients, better pizza. Order online right now. PapaJohns.com. 2-1 ball game. Atlanta in front as they bat here in the 6th inning. McCann gave them the 1-run lead when he clubbed the back end of consecutive home runs against Arroyo to begin that 4th inning. Atlanta comes in with the 2nd best record in the entire National League. They have the 5th best record overall in Major League Baseball. But yet it's only good enough for 2nd inside their division to the team with the best record in the big leagues, and that's the Philadelphia Phillies. Freddie Gonzalez, in his first year since taking over for Bobby Cox, has to feel very good about where his team is, especially when you consider where they've been. From an offensive standpoint, it's been a struggle pretty much the entire year. They've had so many guys injured. They've only had their opening day lineup together for a total of 11 games the entire year. Yet, you come rolling into the Queen City, a cool 17 games better than 500. Still 2-2 on McCann.
And they're a team, Tom, that they feel like they are in the market now to improve themselves here sometime between now and the time of the end of the trading deadline. They've been looking for an outfielder with some pop. In fact, one of the Reds players has been linked to their interest quite heavily, and that would be Johnny Gomes.
Of course, for so many years, Atlanta was among the big payroll teams in Major League Baseball, and they went through an ownership change, and they've really carved down that payroll, at least did for a number of years, but now not afraid to kick it back up again. Because with this pitching staff, the rotation and the bullpen, they've got a legitimate chance to challenge the Philadelphia Phillies or anybody else, for that matter, to win the National League pennant. And a big reason why is the play of this young man, our Farmers Insurance report card on the rookie Freddie Freeman. Well, look at those numbers, where he is among all rookies in the National League. And not just in those 4 categories, but virtually every category. On Freeman. Some of the guys are talking about to be the National League Rookie of the Year as far as position players are concerned. We've seen Barney. He's a very impressive player with the Cubs. But Freeman has closed, and closed fast, if not raced right back and by Espinosa. There's a weak fly ball in the short left. Lewis is there for out number 1. Of course, when all's said and done, it might be Freeman or his teammate, their closer, Craig Kimbrell, as to who will be the National League's Rookie of the Year.
Well, they must be doing something right in their scouting department, because it just seems like year after year the Atlanta Braves dip down there. They bring out a player who's not just a fill-in player in the major leagues, but a guy that goes on to be a superstar, and pitchers as well.
Well, you know, the one thing the Braves, not only that, the other thing they did for so many years, Chris, when they were bringing up all those prospects, I always felt like the Braves evaluated their talent, their own talent, in the minor leagues better than anybody else in baseball. And what you mean by that is when you have 4 or 5 guys that are coming up at the same time, and you say, okay, who are the guys we believe are going to be the best players of this group for the long haul? Let's let everybody else believe all 5 of them are great, and let's trade away the 2 or 3 we're not quite sure about. And they were always so good at that. And the case in point that stands out in recent years is when they brought up McCann and Jeff Francoeur.
Yeah.
When they brought them to the major leagues, I remember having a conversation with Frank Wren, then the assistant to John Sherholtz, and he said, hey, look, everybody's talking about Francoeur. McCann is going to be the guy. And at that time, when Francoeur first showed up in the big leagues, everybody's going, he's going to be the best player, one of the best players in the league for the next 10 years. Well, Francoeur has bounced around and bounced around a lot since then. McCann's not going anywhere.
Both local guys as well.
Yep.
I mean, they scout as well in their backyard as any team in baseball.
1-2 on Hensky, who's hit the ball right on the nose twice, and now a 3rd time. This one into the corner. Heisey fires it back into Brandon Phillips, and of course they'll hold the catcher McCann at 3rd base.
You know, just
2nd and 3rd, 1 out.
It just seems tonight, Tom, that Bronson Arroyo just does not have an answer for all these left-handed hitters that the Braves are running up there, batter after batter. I mean, he just doesn't have a pitch that can get them out. What he can do is make a good pitch on a breaking ball, good location, maybe change speeds on a changeup and so on, and put it in a perfect spot and maybe give that hitter an opportunity to get himself out. But he doesn't have anything to get him out with. I mean, they're just having too many good swings off of him. Eric Hinske is seeing the ball like a beach ball right now when he steps in that batter's box.
So here's Alex Gonzalez, who bounced into a double play his first time up. He popped up to shallow left his second at bat. What a nice play there by Hannigan. Backhanding cleanly that breaking ball in the dirt.
Or you don't see him very often just try to backhand a ball like that. Normally he gets his whole body over there, but he just didn't have the time to do it. He's looking out there at Arroyo smiling right now.
Up and in. The count is 2-0 now on Alex Gonzalez. Runners at second and third, one out in the inning. Atlanta with a 2-1 lead. This is a big out for Arroyo. And now he's gone 3-0 on Gonzalez. With a left-handed batting Brooks Conrad on deck. To Gonzalez, and he takes a strike. Cairo even with a bag at third. Cozart drawn in at short. Phillips backs up. So does Votto. Jam shot, fly ball that'll fall in, and that is a 2-run single. They're going to wave the runner around, and the runner is out at the plate. So an RBI single for Gonzalez. They throw down to second. It's into center field. An RBI single for Alex Gonzalez scores McCann. Hinske cut down by Stubbs at the plate.
And Brian Hannigan really limping around at home plate right there. That was an awkward catch and tag. The bloop by Gonzalez falls in front of Drew Stubbs, who fields it on one hop and then fires it home. And here comes Hinske. I don't know whether he clipped the foot of Hannigan. Hannigan threw wild down to second base, but watch at the very end of this play. It looks like Hinske kind of clips his left foot as he slides by to get the corner of the plate. Man, you put your left leg out there like that. He didn't have time to turn his knee in and kind of have that shin guard facing right down the line right there. He left himself open to a real shot to his leg, and let's hope he didn't twist it bad enough now that is going to require him to come out of the ball game.
Well, Paul Lessard, the Reds trainer, out talking to Hannigan, and Hannigan doesn't even want to look Paul in the eye. He just wants to stay in that game. You wonder, was it his knee? Is it his ankle? I mean, that was ugly just watching the ankle being lined. He fell on top of it.
Now, he's not comfortable at all. In fact, he's sitting back there right now trying to get into the squat, and that is not comfortable at all.
It is just amazingly tough. Those catchers are. And I mean every single one of them, not just Ryan Hannigan, but every guy that gets back there, Chris, and nobody has greater appreciation for the jobs catchers do than you do.
Well, you don't have good pitching without good catching. Simple as that.
Conrad is struck out swinging and lined out to Votto at first base. Atlanta with a 2-run lead. Breaking ball swung on and missed. And now Arroyo ahead of Brooks Conrad at 1-2 strikes. Still a very good pitch count for Bronson Arroyo. popped up, should end the inning. Lewis is there, and it does. But a scoring inning for Atlanta. And after 5.5, the Braves have a 3-1 lead. Talked about consecutive at-bats here at Great American Ballpark, resulting in the first 2 home runs in the career of rookie shortstop Zach Cozart. That's our Coors Light Freeze Can, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. And naturally, who leads off the inning? None other than Mr. Cozart. You go back to his major league debut with the Reds. Cozart 12 for 35 since joining the major league team. The only player over the 9+ game stretch with more hits than Cozart on the entire team is Joey Votto. And he has 1 more hit.
Well, he's been impressive, Tom. I had conversations throughout the season, the first half of the year, of course, with the AAA manager Rick Sweet about his ball club down there, who's playing well, who's not, who needs improvement, where they need improvement. And he said right from the get-go that Zach Cozart was one of the most major league ready players that he had all year long. And you can see why. He just has stage presence. That and the fact that he can hit.
And he's played an outstanding shortstop. I mean, he's made every play. 1-2 to Cozart, who hit that home run back in the first inning and then bounced into a 5-4-3 double play in the third. Reds only a couple of hits tonight against Jurgens. Of course, they've been down this road before against this Atlanta right-hander, and Cozart knew he was gone on strikes. The final game of that series in Atlanta, when Jurgens locked up with Johnny Cueto in a 2-1 Atlanta win. Reds had 6 hits and 1 run against Jurgens. And that's 8 punch-outs tonight for the Atlanta right-hander. Chris brought up earlier the 8 strikeouts for Jurgens. Tonight matches a season high for him. Career high is 10.
Well, you figure that Jurgens would like this hot weather, right? After all, he is from Curacao, the Netherlands Antilles, that little island about 30 miles to the north of Venezuela. But when we check the temperature at Curacao tonight in the third inning, it is 82 there. Feels like 90. And here in Cincinnati it was 91, feels like 96. Maybe we ought to head south to get out of the heat.
How frequently do you say that?
Air's not bad there in February either.
Not bad at all. 3-1 on Joey Votto. And there's strike 2. Votto thought it was ball 4, and that's something to say to the home plate umpire Ed Hickox. There's a 1-out walk. Third of the game given up by Jurgens. He's also hit about it. Well, if you get to the ballpark early a week from Sunday on the final day of July, if you're one of the first 10,000 fans 14 and younger, you'll take home a kid's soft-sided lunchbox thanks to Chick-fil-A. Reds and the Giants. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com. One on and 1 out for Brandon Phillips. Brandon has bounced to third, single to center, stole a base.
You know, Jurgens is a perfect example of a pitcher that can show you as a young pitcher. If you're at home and you're an aspiring pitcher, you don't have to throw 95 miles an hour to win big in the major leagues. His fastball tonight has topped out at 88. I mean, there are 16-year-olds throwing that hard. But he's able to control it. He's able to throw his changeup, work in a breaking ball, but most of all has command of his pitches. Now he's goosed one up there at 90 that time, but that's really the high end for Jurgens. But he has posted winning seasons in the major leagues. Really, ever since he became a full-timer. He was traded over from the Detroit Tigers to the Atlanta Braves after just 7 games as a Tiger, and immediately put 13 wins on the board for the Braves that first year with them, and back in 2008. Next year, he was a 14-game winner. Last year, he had an injury, only threw it in 20 ball games overall, but he's bounced back nice with a 12-3 record this year and named to the All-Star team.
And, of course, he missed a big chunk of the season with a trip on the disabled list this year. There's a breaking ball in the dirt. I mean, it seems like, based on everything you just said, you're able to keep this guy healthy and run him out there. You can mark it down. I mean, even as a very young pitcher. On the low end, he's going to be probably a 14-game winner. On the high end, he's going to break through and get to 20, maybe even this year.
Well, yeah, the one thing you wonder about, though, having not thrown very many innings last year, he only threw 116 innings last year. He just eclipsed that tonight.
Goes, and that ball driven to straightaway center field. It'll back up McLeod, and Votto back to the bag. 2 outs in the inning.
Well, the Reds are going to try to run as best they can. Got a report earlier from Jim Day, our man in the dugout and on the street, that Jurgens tonight has been consistently right around 1.4. That is seconds it takes for him to release the ball and ball get the home plate. That's on the slow side. You're down around 1.2, 1.25. That's why you're just running just about anybody who gets on base. Votto, Phillips, Freddie Lewis. Stubbs would be a natural. He just needs to be able to figure out a way to get on.
There's a fly ball into right field, hit pretty well, and we are tied. Just his 3rd home run, but a big time to get number 3.
Well, he went right down there to golf that baby out of here. This would probably not be a home run in Atlanta. Jair Jurgens thinking, man, tough place to pitch right here, but he gets into the 2nd row. You can't believe it. And just like that, the Reds are right back in it, tied 3-3.
And And Stubbs has made it a 4-3 Cincinnati lead. That one, on the other hand, would have left a State Park. That ball was kissed.
It really was, and the location of this pitch is the interesting thing right here. They had handled Drew Stubbs all night, down low and away. And you talk about Jurgens making a mistake. He hangs it right there on the inner part of the plate. That's a sweet spot for a hanging curveball, and Stubbs deposits it.
There you look at Todd Frazier cruising by Freddie Lewis, about to congratulate him on the game-tying home run. And they stood and watched as Stubbs breaks a tie. So each team has gone back-to-back tonight. Braves did it. Hayward and McCann back in the 4th inning. The Reds get a game-tying homer by Lewis, and Stubbs breaks the tie. Hey, Chris, before I forget, I saw Dontrell Willis here a moment ago, and you and I saw him pitch a very nice game against Milwaukee. Threw the ball real well the other night, but what were your impressions of him again at Pirate game? It's back-to-back good starts.
It is back-to-back good starts. The key for Dontrell now that he's not throwing as hard as he was when he first came up with the Florida Marlins, he's throwing that breaking ball for strikes. And as long as he does that, I mean, he'll stay in a ball game. He did not want to come out of that ball game the other night, even though he had thrown a lot of pitches, had a long rain delay. The guy's a gamer.
And he is one enthusiastic player to have on your team. Now, those are the numbers. And again, for those of you that weren't around, there were 2 rain delays that really prevented him from going far deeper into that game.
Yeah, there was more. The pitch count, including his warm-ups, was more like around 120 than it was at 69. And that's the reason Dusty Baker went out there and pulled him out of the ball game. And you could see the look of disappointment on Willis's face when that happened. Dontrell will get the ball on Sunday against Brandon Beachy. That, as you mentioned earlier, Tom, is a night ball game. The game will start, what, at 8 o'clock at night?
Mm-hmm.
That's an old-fashioned starting time there.
And I'm glad one we don't see very frequently anymore, especially during the week.
You have a hard time staying awake that long.
I do. Going swinging Cairo. The 3 home runs allowed tonight by Jurgens ties a career high. Lewis ties the game, and Stubbs makes it 4-3 Reds. We go to the 7th.
AT&T. Cincinnati Children's ranks 3rd in the nation on U.S. News and World Report's Honor Roll for Best Children's Hospitals 2011. And by your Cincinnati Northern Kentucky Honda dealers. Visit mycincinnatihondadealer.com for current offers.
Top of the 7th inning, and Atlanta coming to bat. The Reds get home runs from Lewis, a 2-run shot, a solo home run by Stubbs to take a 4-3 lead. And Dusty Baker going to stay with Bronson Arroyo. You know, we have seen Arroyo in a number of starts here of late, even with a very low pitch count, Chris, begin to hit a wall. And, you know, that one extra inning here of late has come back to really hurt Arroyo. We'll see here tonight with 8, 9, and 1 in the batting order. Of course, they're going to hit for Jurgens. What a play by Phillips to take away a hit. Every night he does it, every night seemingly.
Man, oh man, I mean, if you just start to calculate the number of pitches that Brandon Phillips saves a pitcher by making a play like this, instead of having McLouth on base, a guy that can steal a base, plenty of speed. You snuff it out, get the first out of the inning. You buy Arroyo another inning right there by doing that. If he loses McLouth, more than likely he's out of the ball game right now. The Reds have a couple of guys up down there throwing. I would imagine the leash on Bronson is very short, but it just lengthened a little bit with that great play by Phillips.
Wilkin Ramirez batting for Jurgens, who started off in shaky fashion, got out of a big jam in the 2nd inning, got out of a big jam in the 4th inning. But after a 1-out walk, he allowed the 2-run home run to Lewis, a 2-out 2-run home run, and then Stubbs followed with a home run of his own in a 3-run 6th inning. So 4 runs allowed by Jurgens, all 4 earned runs. And he only gave up 4 hits, matching his season high with 8 strikeouts. Boy, those walks. Man, oh man, oh man. Especially when you lead by more than just the 1 run.
And especially in this ballpark. I mean, you saw the expression on Jair Jurgens' face when that home run went out by Freddie Lewis. I mean, it went in the 1st or 2nd row there in the right field area, and that ball really jumps out there to right field. I mean, he just looked so deflated. Could not believe that ball left the yard. Now he gets a little taste of what it's like to be a starter for the Reds. Run yourself out there 15 or 20 times a game here in Cincinnati. You just cannot let it get in your head.
So Ramirez taken care of. That's a 2nd strikeout for Arroyo.
He had a nice sink on that fastball.
And I beg your pardon, Jurgens, by the way, with that final strikeout of Cairo. He struck out 9 tonight, which is a season high. 1 short of a career tying 10. All right. Here's Prado. This will be without a doubt one way or the other the final batter that Arroyo will face tonight. He either takes care of Prado and ends this inning, or if Prado reaches, you'll see Chapman against Hayward. Prado 1 of 3, single to center field his last time up. Challenge him with a fastball, and Prado drives one to left center, and Stubbs has it off his glove and over the fence. So on a 2-1 pitch, Arroyo tries to throw one by Prado, and he has tied the game at 4 with a solo home run in the 7th inning.
Well, some call this young man the most valuable player on the Braves ball club. Doesn't matter where you put him. He plays great defense, and he nearly gets robbed of a home run. What an effort by Stubbs right there. Looks like he had it, and it hit off the heel of his glove. He may have overjumped that ball. And the ball bounces off his glove and then into the bullpen area for a home run, and that one ties it up.
So granted, it's only a solo home run, but that's now about the 4th time in the last 5 or 6 outings for Arroyo where his final inning he leaves having given up a big run or multiple runs. Skyline Chili called to the bullpen will summon Aroldis Chapman. Four time. After surrendering a home run to tie the game, the final batter he faces on the night. This will be a double switch made by Dusty Baker. Todd Frazier back to the big leagues. You may remember they called him up the first time. He was around for all of 1 game and 1 at bat in Philadelphia. Then was sent back to the minor leagues. And when Scott Rowland went on the disabled list prior to the game tonight, Frazier brought up. And here's Chapman now to face Jason Hayward.
Well, the double switch made because evidently Dusty Baker thinking Chapman may go more than 1 inning. The pitcher spot due up second when the Reds bat in the bottom of the 7th. Left-handed part of the order for the Braves: Haywood, McCann, and Freeman. And then Erikinski. That's why you're thinking maybe 2 innings out of Chapman. Holy mackerel.
That may have said 90-something. It looked like a lot more than that. Maybe it's because of that big swing by Hayward.
I'm not sure what it said, but he was thinking fastball, guessing fastball, but not that kind of fastball.
Man. Fastball right by him at 101 miles per hour. That is sick. Oh. Fox Sports Ohio for Reds Live, brought to you by Kings Honda and the Kings Auto Mall. Visit KingsHondaUSA.com. A 4-4 game. Reds come to bat here in the bottom half of the 7th inning. Atlanta will hand the ball from Jurgens now to Scott Linebrink. Well, this Atlanta bullpen has just been simply spectacular. Chris brought it up earlier. Thanks in large part to the back 3 guys in their bullpen. What a play made by Prado to take away at least a double for Hannigan.
Well, you don't make a play like this unless you are ready. Every pitch that is thrown down there, that ball just a rocket off the bat of Ryan Hannigan. And Tom, you know, I kind of chuckled when I heard it earlier today, out of the mouth of Joe Simpson, longtime TV announcer for the Braves, saying, you know what, I may think that Martin Prado would be the MVP on this team. Now, you're talking about a team with Chipper Jones.
And Todd Frazier has his first major league hit. Of course, they will request the baseball. Frazier had the one at bat in Philadelphia when he struck out. He was with the major league club for all of 1 game. And here on the very first pitch he sees from Linebrink, he shoots one into right. Congratulations, Todd Frazier.
That's what you call getting a scouting report, saying this guy throws a lot of first pitch fastballs and showing up ready to swing the bat. That's a good looking swing.
Well, what a feeling that must be. Right now, the top of the order in Heisey. Well, when you were starting to say, though, about this, Joe Simpson.
With Prado and Joe Simpson, longtime TV announcer with the Braves, said, you know, I really believe that he could be the MVP of our team. That is a team that has Chipper Jones and Brian McCann on it. That's high praise right there. But anywhere you put him, he makes those kind of plays. He hit the home run to tie the ball game up. There's Joe over here on the left.
Sitting alongside Chip Carey. For a game, 1-1 the count, 1 on 1 out, and he started 2 and laid off. We were talking about that trio in the Atlanta bullpen. I mean, you want to talk about one of the most unbelievable runs from 3 pitchers at the same time. I can never remember having 3 pitchers, Eric O'Flaherty, Johnny Venters, and Craig Kimbrell, on the kind of run. They have gone 47 games combined in which they have not allowed a single earned run.
That's amazing.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, that makes it so easy on a manager. He just runs somebody out there and you're automatically assuming that they're going to throw 0 on the board.
Two and 1. O'Flaherty is not allowed an unearned run. The longest streak of anybody, going all the way back to June the 7th. Kimbrell hasn't allowed an earned run in his last 17 games, and Venters has not allowed an earned run since the 4th of July. He just blew Heisey away with nothing but gas in that at bat. 2 outs in the inning.
But he goes right to the spot where Chris Heisey likes it, up and in, but with a little extra mustard that Heisey can't get on top of it.
Of course, those 3 guys we just mentioned, we did not mention Linebrink. There was a time where you talk about the best setup pitchers in the game for many, many years, and he might have been at the very top of the list, setting up Trevor Hoffman for all those years out in San Diego.
That may have been the best waiver claim in the last decade. when the Padres picked him up off waivers from the Houston Astros, immediately put him in the bullpen as a setup guy to Hoffman, and you just told the rest.
Well, he was almost unhittable for about 3-4 years there. And I don't remember him throwing as hard when we saw the Braves down in Atlanta as he's throwing tonight.
You agree with that? I agree, yeah. But look where he's throwing the ball. I mean, on the radar gun, it's only 92. But you look where he's throwing it. Up there around the letters. If you decide to chase that pitch, you're just not, unless you are a dead high ball hitter, you're not going to get around on it. Heisey tried to chase it, couldn't do it. Cozart a little smarter about it by making him bring it down.
Oh, he had a good rip at a 2-0 fastball.
Well, they'll do that to a young player like Cozart. They're going to find out if you can hit that number one.
Braves have Sherrill, the left-hander, Proctor, the right-hander, getting loose in their bullpen. A 4-4 game here in the bottom of the 7th. And there's ball 3 to Zach Cozart. To Cozart, and here it comes, and he's tardy on another fastball. This one's out of play. Votto would be next, and of course, should the inning continue here in the 7th for Votto, we almost assuredly would see the left-hander Sherrill. Okay, they got a lot of experience in that bullpen. It's ironic they have all the youngsters that are at the end of the game and all the veterans that come into games like this. Sherrill, a one-time closer. Linebrink's been around forever. So is Proctor. Struck him out on a 3-2 breaking ball, and that'll end the inning. So we go to the 8th, tied at 4. Plural. Game-tying home run by Fred Lewis. And the very next batter, of course, was Drew Stubbs. He made it 4-3 Reds. But unfortunately, with 2 outs and nobody on in Bronson Arroyo's final inning, they give up a game-tying home run to Martin Prado. So we stand 4-4 with Aroldis Chapman on the mound to face McCann, Freeman, and Hinske, 3 straight left-handed batters. Come for the Reds, stay for more fun. cruise the Ohio River aboard BB Riverboats and make it a weekend getaway. You can book your trip on CincinnatiUSA.com.
Well, the double switch of Todd Frazier going in to third base, taking over the pitcher spot, enabled him to come in, get his first base hit, but also enabled Aroldis Chapman to pitch more than just to one batter. Here he is to McCann. What a difference maker he could be in this bullpen. He comes in and throws the way they projected him to throw. I mean, his stuff over the plate, mixing in that breaking ball. Be a lot of fun to watch.
Chapman quickly ahead, 0-2 on McCann. You were talking about that fastball at 92 by Linebrink.
Yeah.
Up about 99 up.
It's a whole different league there. I think you got to throw the breaking ball just to show the Braves he's got it. I know he can throw the fastball by most of these guys. I mean, he goosed that one up there a little bit more at 101. I mean, if you're on deck and you're thinking, yeah, I know he throws real hard, but if I know all he throws is fastballs, maybe I can just time one.
0-2 to McCann. Threw in the slider. It didn't do a whole lot, but it did enough. It's a 91-mile-per-hour slider. Well, now Freeman, who has singled, walked, and popped up to left. All 7 pitches have been recorded strikes since coming out of the bullpen for Aroldis Chapman. Make it 8. Slider there, and it's outside to even the count on Freeman at 1 ball and 1 strike. Chapman perfect in an inning and 2/3, spanning 2 outings in the Pirate series with 3 strikeouts. Not a single walk. Straight up. Boy, that is a mile high. And Cozart still drifted. 2 outs in the inning.
It's like it was dropped out of an airplane.
You're not lying. Next Friday night, July the 29th, cheer on the Reds. They take on the Giants, and after the game, a 60s flashback fireworks show featuring a soundtrack from some of the classic hits from Chris Welsh's old days in Haight-Ashbury. Thanks to Orville Redenbacher. Boy, is that an oxymoron? For tickets, call 513-381-REDS.
Sounds like a bow tie kind of night.
It does. Strike 1 to Eric Kimsky. Chapman, since coming back up from the minor leagues, had the 1 bad outing. That was against St. Louis, when he gave up the hit, the 2 runs and 2 walks. But he's only allowed 3 runs total since coming back. And so far, 11 and now a 12th appearance. And he struck out a whopping 22 batters while walking only 4. Trying to put away a very dangerous hitter in Henske in a 4-4 game. But that was almost like he took a little something off, didn't it? It was only 97.
Well, what you really want to be able to get to with Chapman is him being able to throw a strike when he has to. I mean, I'll take my chances at 97. I mean, you're still a few miles an hour faster than anybody else on this staff.
1-2 now on Hensky. In and out of the mitt. One ball and 2 strikes on Hensky. Popped up. Playable. 4. Frazier. Chapman, 4 batters. Not a ball leaves the infield. Votto, Phillips, Lewis coming up in a 4-4 game. More on defense, play of the game, and well, how about Ryan Hannigan on a pop-up 3/4 of the way up the third base line. The diving catch back in the first inning. Well done by Hannigan, who took a hit tonight on a play at the plate and has hung in there. Meanwhile, Aroldis Chapman is still technically in this game. His spot not due up until 5th. Fair ball off the bat of Votto. Foot race to the bag, and the new pitcher was part of that trio down there that's been virtually unhittable. His left-hander Johnny Venters. Venters and Kimbrel, both National League All-Stars.
Well, they're shading the line a little bit this part of the ball game. They certainly don't want to give up a leadoff double. That's why Freddie Freeman was in position to make that play. That's a big out for Venters, left-handed or not. It's nice to work your way through the reigning MVP of the National League to get the first out.
Venters ranked 7th among all National League relievers in opponents' batting average at 165. He has the 6th lowest ERA. He leads the major leagues in appearances and leads the major leagues. And now he ranks 3rd actually in holds. Told you a first-time All-Star this year. I'm not sure there's a more potent duo, considering their age, in any bullpen in Major League Baseball than the duo of Venters and Kimbrel. I mean, both coming out of that bullpen throwing gas. And if you weren't with us the last inning, the last time this guy gave up an earned run was on June the 29th. His is not just an earned run, it's any run. In a game at Seattle, 1 inning, 2 hits, 2 runs. Nothing but zeros ever since. In fact, since that outing, he has only allowed 3 hits since June the 29th. What a play by Conrad. Coverage tonight brought to you by DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV to switch right now and get your best offer of the year. $34,118 for the opening game of this 3-game weekend series. Reds a little thin in their outfield tonight with Jay Bruce not feeling well. The only extra outfielder they have on that bench is Johnny Gomes, but he's not batting for the left-hander Fred Lewis against the left-hander Ventures. And 2 to Lewis, and that didn't last very long. We go to the 9th in a 4-4 game. Turned in by a guy not necessarily known for his defense, but you know he'll give you everything he has every time he's in that lineup there at Kinski. Well, it seems like everywhere he goes, and he changes teams in recent years, virtually every year, and he ends up in the playoffs seemingly every year.
Now, we could have picked a number of any plays the Braves have made tonight. They have made a lot of great defensive plays. Kinski had that one. We just saw that diving catch right there. Martin Prado made a nice play off a shot that he took a hit away from Ryan Hannigan.
And now Nick Massett takes over to face Alex Gonzalez, Brooks Conrad, and Nate McLouth here in the Atlanta 9th inning of a 4-4 game. Reds had a 4-3 lead until the game-tying home run by Martin Prado with 2 outs in the 7th inning. I'd like to send out a big happy birthday to a long-time Reds fans. In fact, both of them. Leo and Eleanor Gresham of Crestview Hills, Kentucky. They turned 83 and 79 during this last week. Of course, Leo led Newport Catholic High School to the 1946 state baseball championship. Drafted in the Army to serve in Korea. Has been inducted into 4 different halls of fame. And of course, the couple's love of baseball has been passed on to their son, Tom Gresham. Longtime writer for the Cincinnati Enquirer. And the entire family, grandson Brett Jaeger, an intern with us right now with the Reds, and nephew Joe Zerhuser. There's a base hit into center field by Gonzalez to open the Atlanta 9th.
Got back-to-back hits for Gonzalez in the 6th inning, got a base hit. And he lines this one, a pitch that was up over his head right back through the box. That's about what he likes. I mean, he likes that ball up, out over the plate. That's a pretty good lick on that one.
Well, now Conrad, and Frazier is tucked in over at third base, thinking Conrad may be up there to bunt. Conrad 0 for 3 tonight, but one at bat he hit a rocket that nearly took the glove off of Joey Votto down at first base. That was back in the 5th inning. Cardinals and the Pirates in a tight one tonight. 5-4 St. Louis, that game in the 8th inning. Conrad does bunt it, and Massett picked it up and got the out. He waited on it for maybe a second to see if that thing was going foul, and it didn't appear to be going foul. It's a good bunt.
Yeah, that's a good bunt and a tough play for Nick Massett, because when he fields this ball, he's right on the first baseline. And he's really got not much in the way of a throwing lane to the first baseman. Watch where he is right here. He's right on the line, and then there's not much room really to throw the ball down the line. You've got to kind of throw it over the left shoulder of the runner. That can sometimes be a real dangerous play.
Now McLouth 0 for 3, robbed of a hit by Brandon Phillips on a diving play to Brandon's right in the 7th inning. Alex Gonzalez, a runner out at second base with 1 out. We're in a 4-4 game in the 9th. One ball and 2 strikes. Aroldis Chapman, a perfect inning and a third out of the bullpen. Struck out 2 of the 4 he faced. And outside of that one game against St. Louis, since coming back from the minor leagues, he has been spectacular. Here's a 2-2 pitch now on McLeod. Soft liner caught. And back to the bag goes Gonzalez. 2 out. Don't forget Sunday, July the 31st. If you're one of the first 10,000 fans 14 and younger, you'll take home a kid's soft-sided lunchbox. Thanks to your good friends and mine from Chick-fil-A. 513-3-1 Reds. Or visit Reds.com. It is very rare that Chick-fil-A would be involved in anything on a Sunday. Their CEO, well documented, story's been told many times, does not open any of his stores on a Sunday.
Not even the ones in the airport.
Nope. All right, now Dan Uggla. He is batting 4 Venters who worked a perfect 8th.
Boy, good first pitch right there by Nick Masson. I think that was his splitter that he throws. I'm not so sure. Maybe a curveball. But Dan Uggla is a dead red fastball hitter. That's a curveball that backed up on him.
Uggla brought over from the Florida Marlins and was signed to that blockbuster long-term contract. And just recently, you see the 12-game hitting streak has been starting to swing the bat. And when you know it, as soon as he gets hot, of course, for the folks who are with the Atlanta Braves, no sooner does that happen. On the just completed series in Colorado, he tweaked the calf muscle, and so he wasn't in the lineup to begin the game here tonight. Masson trying to send this one to the bottom of the 9th inning in a 4-4 game. Runner at second with 2 out and 1-1 pitch. Blown away.
Now, what they've got out of Dan Uggla so far this year is certainly not what they had hoped for or bargained for when they signed him to a long-term, big-time money contract. Batting average under 200 after hitting nearly 290 last year with 33 bombs for the Marlins. But he does have 17 home runs, so it looks like he's going to end up in that 30 range if he continues to hit. But he is capable right here.
The only infielder to hit more home runs, any infielder, in the history of baseball in their first 4 years in the major leagues than Dan Uggla is Albert Pujols. And Uggla has hit the most home runs among all middle infielders in the history of the game since breaking into the big leagues.
I mean, look at this guy, though. He doesn't look like the old-fashioned middle infielder that, you know, look quick, skinny little second baseman that you put out there for a good glove and turn a double play. Those are some serious pipes.
And not a bad draft pick for a Rule 5 guy. All he did was knock the cover off the ball in the Arizona Diamondback system. And the Marlins, good scouting, plucked him out of there. 3-1 to Uggla. And Masson beat him on a 95-mile-per-hour fastball.
Well, you look on deck and you see Martin Prado, who already has a home run to tie the ball game and another hit. That's a good hack, though. I mean, Uggla's seeing the ball well, and you can tell by the way he even fouled that ball off.
Still to Uggla. Masson trying to end the top of the 9th inning. And this ball is hammered into right center field. And Uggla has broken the 4-4 tie.
the Braves have scored tonight have come on fastballs that, in my opinion, are forced pitches. Bronson Arroyo tried to throw a fastball by Martin Prado in the 7th. That was a home run. And here with a base open, Nick Massett tries to force a fastball by a real good hitting fastball hitter in Dan Uggla, and he hits it out of here for 2.
You know, I was just getting ready to ask you before that pitch. And doggone it, I want to kick myself because now it looks like it's hindsight, but I was going to ask you. When pitchers are programmed to keep the ball down, 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 and you saw 2 pitches ago when Hannigan is standing there and there's a base hit in the center field by Prado. And you see catchers do it frequently, and I would bet a lot of money that more mistakes are made, at least that I can recall, when you ask a pitcher now all of a sudden on that high target to throw it up around somebody's neck. And I'm talking about guys who don't have great command.
Yep.
And now you're asking somebody to do something that they're just not asked to do all the time. Is that, I mean, can that be a problem for guys?
That's a legitimate question. And I think the answer to that is, Tom, that yes, maybe your margin of error is a little bit smaller up there, but what you should do as a pitcher, and I don't care whether you're a low ball pitcher or a high ball pitcher, when you're asked to execute a pitch, you either throw it to that spot or you miss out of the strike zone. You're talking about an all-star caliber player in Dan Uggla right here. If you're trying to throw it high, chin high, and you throw it letter high instead, you're missing in his hot zone. And that's what happened right there. If you miss high, throw it to the backstop. No harm done except he runs down to first base.
Well, Massett gives up the long ball on a 3-2 pitch to Uggla. A 4-3 lead has turned into a 6-4 Atlanta lead, and we'll be back. For Nick Massett, he allows a leadoff hit to Alex Gonzalez, a batter hitting .220. Gets a couple of outs and then gives up a 2-run home run to Dan Uggla. After that, a base hit to Prado. And now the Reds go to the bullpen, making a pair of switches. Johnny Gomes into the game to play left field. And Bill Bray is now on the mound. Now, you thought Massett coming into the game, quite honestly, against 6, 7, and 8. You thought you were in business. It didn't turn out that way. And now the Reds will bat in the bottom of the 9th, trailing 6-4. first career base hit for Todd Frazier. It came in the 7th inning on this July the 23rd, 2011. Good for Todd Frazier. Congratulations.
No doubt about it. Long time in coming for Todd Frazier. He is due 4th up this inning. Let's hope he's able to get up there and maybe deliver another one, and perhaps one that will have an impact on this game.
Kimbrel, the closer, comes on to try and knock down what would be his 31st save of the year. Saw the changes in center field where they have Jordan Schaefer. And the Flow slides over to play left field with Hemsky out of the game. Drew Stubbs to lead things off here in the Reds' bottom of the ninth. He'll be followed by Johnny Gomes and then Ryan Hannigan. The numbers on Kimbrel are just astonishing.
Well, you're right about that.
He's already set a National League rookie record for most saves prior to the All-Star break. The second pitcher in Braves franchise history to reach 100 career strikeouts. He did it in 59 in the 3rd innings. He leads the major leagues, by the way, with those 30 saves. But the strikeout numbers, I mean, it's just, it's almost beyond belief. He has struck out 77 of the 198 batters that he's faced. That's almost 40%. And he leads all major league relievers with the 77 strikeouts. You know, having said all that, perhaps Chris, he's due to blow one.
Well,
because it's been a long time.
Yeah, you really never know. I mean, he's pitched now in his 51st ball game. I mean, at this pace, he is going to be up around 80 to 90 appearances. It looks like he has good stuff on the ball tonight, though. Blazing fastball that runs into right-handers. Tough breaking ball. Look out on that one.
Stubbs has struck out for the 3rd time. He's also hit a home run in the game.
I want to send out our Fox Sports Ohio condolences to the family of Colleen Kenny Browder. Passed away on Wednesday. She's the cousin of Paul Kramer. He's a longtime chief of the Hal Crosby Jr. Amateur Baseball Fund, the Kid Glove games, and Colleen never missed a game, knew the players, knew the stats, and she will be dearly missed by all her family and friends.
To Johnny Gomes. Venters, the pitcher of record for Atlanta. And of course, Nick Massett, the pitcher of record for the Reds. That's good morning, good afternoon, and good night. And the Reds are down to their final out.
He can do that to you. Kimbrel can. I'm not so sure it really matters whether you're left-handed or right-handed against this guy. That is a ball that looked like it was going to stay outside and comes right back on the outside corner.
This is one impressive Atlanta team. And again, we're not even seeing all their big guns in the lineup yet again.
They're bound to get better.
I don't think there's any doubt about it. I mean, to think their record is what it is, 17 games over 500.
Now The only thing that I can think of, and this is what you may think if you're in the division with where they play and you're hoping to catch them, maybe catch them for the wild card, is that this young pitching staff that has really peaked here in the middle of July, whether they'll be able to sustain that through the months of August and September. You talk about some good arms. Man, oh man, Johnny Venters and Kimbrel, line break the way he was throwing the ball.
You know, Sherrill is still deadly against left-handers, even though he's getting a little longer in the tooth, but an experienced former closer. Their starting rotation, which virtually the entire year has run neck and neck ERA-wise, with a far more heralded group of starting pitchers with Philadelphia.
And a far older and more experienced group. These guys are going to be around a while, the ones that the Braves are running out there.
In the air down the right field line, and this will do it. So the Reds had a 4-3 lead in the 7th and could not make it stand up. A 2-run home run off the Atlanta bench from Dan Uggla. Venters and Kimbrel following line break. 3 innings of one-hit shutout baseball from the Atlanta bullpen. And the Braves win the opener in this series by a final count of 6-4. Time now for Reds Live, the post-game version. Let's check in downstairs with Jeff Pecora.
Well, thank you very much, Tom. Yeah, this was a game for the long ball. When the weather heats up, when late July, early August rolls around and the humidity is in the air, the ball simply flies out of this ballpark. And we saw that tonight. 6 more home runs at Great American Ballpark. That makes it 122 home runs on the year. Only the ballpark at Arlington and Camden Yards have more in all of baseball. Bronson Arroyo again bitten by the long ball. He had the lead, couldn't hold it 2 different times in the game. Chapman good, Massett bad. One of those days for the Cincinnati Reds. And now it's time for Reds Live. And with that, here's Jim Day. Jim?
Pig, thank you very much. Picks off to the clubhouse. Whoever